In addition to the default column types that come with SheetPlanner, you can customize many aspects of your columns and even create custom columns. First, you can add a new column by clicking the menu arrow in a column header and selecting Add Column Before or Add Column After. Adding a column before the currently selected column will add a column to the left, while adding a column after it will add it to the right. There are also many things that you can customize about this new column from the inspector. The first thing you can customize here is the name. To change the column name, click in the name field in the inspector and type a new name for your column. Next, you can change the column type by selecting from the drop-down menu. Let's take a look at the options that are available here. First is text. This applies standard text formatting to the cells in the selected column, and these cells can accept any alphanumeric value. The next column type is number. This column type accepts numbers but not letters as values. You can change the number of decimal digits for a number column, and you can also choose from several formats like currency, accounting, percentage, and even spell out, which will display the numbers using words. You can also specify whether parent cell values are entered or calculated. The options here change based upon the column type. So for example, with a number column, you can use the default custom value, which displays a value that you enter, or a calculated value such as total, minimum, maximum, or average, which is calculated based upon the values for the child rows. You can also change the auto enter options. This changes the value that is set by default when a new row is created. You can select from blank, which is the default, ditto, which copies the last value that was used, a default value that you determine, or a serial number, which will display an incrementally increased value. The next column type is progress. This shows a visual progress indicator representing a percent completion between 0 and 100. This is different than the default progress column and can be handy when you want to measure progress unconnected from the timeline bars. For example, if you wanted to track sales rep quota performance, you could use a custom progress column. Just type in the percent value and your value will be displayed visually as a progress indicator. You can show the progress as a bar, a pie chart, or a percentage. In parent rows, you can also change the value for a cell from custom to progress, which will then show an overall progress indicator for all the child rows. The auto enter options here are blank, ditto, or a default value that you choose when creating a new row. The next column type is date. This displays the value in a date format and gives you the option to add values to the cell by clicking on the calendar icon to select one from a date picker. Date columns can contain date and/or time information, and you can customize the length of both the date and the time formatting displayed in the cells. For example, selecting long for date format will display the date completely written out with the full name of the month and year, and selecting none for time format will remove the time from the column values completely. You can also choose whether you want to show relative dates, which will convert standard date formatting and instead show values like today or tomorrow, and you can select whether you want to show the dates in the timeline and calendar views. For parent rows, you can change the value from custom to show the earliest or latest dates, and auto enter allows you to use blank, ditto, a default value, today or tomorrow when creating new rows. The next column type is time interval. This creates a duration, like 2 minutes, 6 hours, or 1 week. Just like the date column type, you can adjust the formatting for the time value displayed from short to medium to long. And the auto enter options here include blank, ditto, or a default value. The next column type is symbol. This replaces the contents of the cells with symbols like checkboxes, flags, or star ratings. You can choose from several different types of symbols from the drop-down kind field and change whether a click on the cell toggles the value right away or opens a menu. You can also toggle the values in a symbol field by hitting the spacebar. The next column type is picture. This column type displays images which can be added by dragging the image file into the appropriate cell. You can choose whether you want the image to be fixed to the size of the cell, or whether you want it to maximize the row height or column width. Unlike adding an image as a row link, an image stored in a picture column is not an alias, but this file is actually embedded in your SheetPlanner document. You can open Quick Look for an image by hitting the spacebar. The last custom column type is list. A list column displays several options from a drop-down list when selecting the value for a cell. One example of a list type column would be for tracking who's responsible for different parts of a project. You can add options to or delete options from the list in the inspector, and can even select whether you want multiple items to be allowed in cell values. This allows you to choose more than one option from the list by checking the boxes in the drop-down menu for the cell.